Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to take some time and talk about one of my favorite deadlift accessory exercises. And this is a common one that you normally see powerlifters do, and that is the RDL. And in today's video, we're specifically going to talk about like how I prefer to do the RDL, how I think it helps my deadlift, and two variations of the RDL that I use in order to improve different parts of my body and my lift overall. So first of all, here you can see we're taking a look at some regular RDL training. Now, the first thing that you'll notice is when picking the bar up off of the ground, I just prefer to give it like a normal deadlift to get it to the top end position. I know some people prefer to put it in a rack and then walk it out. I've never really liked that because I always felt just unstable when walking back with the bar. And, you know, my general thought process is, why not just get a deadlift practice in and deadlift it up? Now, once I'm in the top position of the RDL, my focus is going to be to push my hips back. So you'll notice from here, pushing my hips back while keeping my shins as vertical as possible. So in a regular deadlift, you'll notice whenever I pull it off of the ground, my knees are going to go forward, which will give a slightly more forward shin angle. And what that does is it kind of, balances a little bit more quads with the hamstrings and low back, contribution in the deadlift. Well, with the RDL, what we want to do is kind of take that knee bend out of it a bit and really focus on the hamstrings. And for that reason, I'm going to push my hips back until I really feel that hamstring stretch. And as soon as I do, I reverse course and go back up. So for me, that ends up being, as a reference point on this video, just below my knee sleeves. And for me personally, this is a really helpful movement because whenever I miss a deadlift, it's almost always at that just at or below the knees portion of the lift. If I get it above my knees, basically the deadlift's going to go, is how it tends to work. So by doing this where I'm changing direction at my weak point, that gets me tons of reps where I'm in this disadvantaged position with a more straight leg. Now, don't confuse an RDL with a straight leg deadlift. That is not the focus at all. So I allow some knee bend in the movement, but it's just enough to get the stretch in the hamstring. I don't want any quads in the actual movement here. So you can really see it from the side view, how I'm pushing back and then really focusing on bringing my hips forward. And if you watch my shin angle for these reps, it's staying as vertical as possible, kind of going up and down my leg. So kind of back to the reasoning for this is in a heavy deadlift, if for whatever reason I get slightly pitched out of position where I am forward and I'm kind of just trying to get it over my knees, I have hundreds and hundreds of reps kind of in my pocket from training where I've already done this. Okay, so that's kind of one thing. Second thing is it's just in general going to build the posterior chain for deadlifts and squats and both of those power lifts. And then kind of third, it allows for a little bit more, in my opinion, right? And this is down to opinion and just what I've experienced, a little bit more hypertrophy and soreness because you're keeping that time under tension with the bar hanging from your arms, right? Whereas like a regular deadlift, you're lowering it down and it hits the ground. So you get that little bit of time where the tension's off. Whereas with an RDL, you're getting that stretch the whole time. And I tend to feel that builds my deadlift a little bit better. Now, let's go ahead and pivot to a second variation that my coach Bill McCarthy has thrown in relatively recently, probably in the past year or so. And that's the snatch grip RDL. So if you kind of watch, and we've got one more set, it looks like, of regular RDL, but I'll talk about the idea with the snatch grip. You know, when you are doing a regular deadlift, your goal should be for your arms to be laying straight down to your side, right? So you're in the best mechanical position possible. You're pulling the bar straight up. A snatch grip deadlift is going to do the opposite. You widen your arms out, and what that does is it artificially shortens your arms, so you have to bend over further to pick up the bar, and you also have to sit down more in the actual movement. Now, whenever you change this to an RDL variation, what that does is it increases your ability to go down with the bar. So whenever I show the side view, we'll take a look at that. My back angle can get more horizontal with that snatch grip. Here we go. So notice I take this wider grip. I was forgetting my straps. Normally I would use those, but it allows me to go down further without hitting the bar off of the ground. And also, this is a big thing that I personally feel, it's a little bit more of a rear delt dominant movement, and it really seems to build my upper back for the deadlift, whereas normal deadlifts and normal RDLs, I feel them more in my lower lats and my low back as I'm kind of pulling them down, if that makes sense. So let's take a look at the side view here and kind of compare it. You'll notice as I go down, my back angle can get lower, and what that means is I can get even more of a stretch than I would with a traditional RDL. Now, this was a really light week for me personally, where the weights at 405 pounds are very light, but those will inch up over time and get heavier. Maybe not as heavy as my regular RDLs, but that's going to really load those hamstrings and my upper back and hopefully build that for regular deadlifts, and hopefully it pays off on the platform. Okay, so hopefully that was beneficial for you all. Maybe you took something from that. Let me know down below. Do you prefer to do RDLs? And if you do you walk them out of a rack, or do you just pick them up like regular deadlift like I do? Also, let me know, what else do you like to do for your deadlift accessories? I know this is personally one of my favorites. So please like and subscribe as always, and until next time, happy lifting.